I'm Marshunda Smith, and I would like to answer the first question. So I'm going to answer this in 5 points. Accessibility as an ongoing commitment. Accessibility isn't a box to check off. It's a commitment to continuous improvement. I lead with the progress over perfection model, prioritizing realistic, incremental goals over unrealistic expectations of total accessibility. Integration of 508 standards. Internally, we use 508 standards as a guide, incorporating accessibility reviews into our workflows for consistent improvements across materials for events. Practical adjustments, simple adjustments like color contrast in printed materials or improved readability for digital content expand accessibility without waiting for requests. Proactive awareness. Many accessibility issues go unnoticed, especially with color blindness. Did you know that 1 in 9 men has color blindness? And reading disabilities. 1 in 5 people have some sort of reading disability. We should address these proactively since people don't always disclose them. And the last point I would like to hit on this question, internal culture of support. By embedding these practices, Symphony New Hampshire builds a supportive culture focused on awareness and ongoing learning, establishing trust with our community. So I want to put in a disclaimer here. I speak in front of 500 people, and there's emotional response that I have with people. So I apologize if I'm coming across as a little contained because I'm talking to an inanimate object, a video. So to continue, question number 2 about excellence. Well, excellence is an arbitrary word. Excellence means so many things to so many people in different situations. You really can't derive excellence without a deep analysis of the context. For instance, a student can get excellent on a book report. A person can go to a concert and feel overwhelmed and they deem that concert excellent. Or we can have a fabulous meal and it's excellent. The one equivalency to that is our emotional response. It's important to consider how often excellence seems to happen to a singular target. But how do we define excellence? Excellently diverse, excellently colorful, excellence in multifacetedness? Somehow the word excellence just doesn't match, right? So perhaps it's because excellence is so commonly referring to a singular target of analysis, and diversity, colorfulness, and multifacetedness are anything but singular targets. Addressing these adjectives with excellence requires an understanding of how they manifest in the first place. I would reframe excellence in the term of heterophilic, as in our attention and our attraction to what is different and of ourselves and what is different from what we know and have known. Engagement of difference won't ensure every voice is heard or every facet of experience is explored. However, I do think that a hard push to engage in difference says that we are not staying with what suits us, and we should expand our definition of different, which can create something new and powerful. For example, I am involved in Postpartum, a new opera, and we organized that opera as music director, composer, the head of the dancers, the head of the actors, the stage director, everyone. We have our own lane, and we respect each other's lane. So when it comes something to music, they refer to me, and I refer that and talk to the musicians. When it comes to something with dancing and the composition, we talk to the dance teacher and we talk to the compositional person, and they talk to each other. There isn't this hierarchy that one must do what only one person says. It's a heterophilic culture that we've created, and everybody's input is valued and seen as this person is the expert in this field, and so we will refer to them for questions about that intersection. This summer we had a 2-week workshop of the opera. Unfortunately, we didn't get to perform it because COVID went through us. However, we had a reflection afterwards, and a lot of the dancers, musicians, actors actually said that this was going to be their last performance in their chosen artwork, only because their prior experiences in theater and dance and opera was a hierarchical type of organization, and they were told what to do, when to do it, and it just sucked the life out of their artwork in which they chose to enter into. How we organized postpartum the opera was so healing for them that they actually got to tap back into their chosen artwork, and they're not going to quit their artwork anymore because of how we organize this new type of workspace for operas. So in short, I believe an expanded definition of different would equal excellence. Question number 3. We're almost there, halfway through. Basic social model. Vibrancy in any art form comes within, right? So we need to be excited about what is being produced, and what makes excitement is contagious. How many times when you have a friend that's super excited about something that you start looking into that something and you become excited about it too? Well, if we're not excited about things that we're producing and bringing to the community, why should they be excited, right? I cannot help but to return to this distributed leadership model as a key to enthusiasm. If we actually ask and invite people in on our project, making sure that they feel welcomed, their ideas are welcomed, and that they're an integral part, they feel like they are an integral part, and they want to give more to this process in which we've invited them into. Feeling like you're playing an important role makes sure that the musicians build camaraderie, and the audience can't help but notice that. For instance, in my Cherry Hill Chamber Orchestra, I ask the players all the time, what are their thoughts? How can I make the concerts better? And I, in turn, during the concert, ask the audience, what do they think of what they just heard? There's a dialogue going on, and people feel heard and seen in the moment of the performance. So we should also, that being said, we should also seek to know the audience themselves. After the concert, let's go out to eat with them. Let's talk to them, and talk to them beyond the fact of like, oh, hey, did you like the concert? Yes. Let's ask them what they do in their lives. Let's see what really brings them to our concerts. What do they enjoy? Let's not always talk about ourselves. Let's have them talk about themselves. People love talking about themselves, and in them talking about themselves, we find out more about our audience and what makes them tick. And out of that conversation, more ideas spur our minds to other projects. But you never know unless we actually do that. Let's loosen up ourselves with people and just enjoy what we're doing. Build that enjoyment for people who come to see us play, and let's enjoy what we're actually doing. Part 2 of this, how do we play it forward? How do we put our foot in it? Staying culturally relevant is a tricky business for everyone. Social media and mobile devices have rearranged our lives entirely the past decade, where there's hundreds of examples. For example, churches used to be the cultural center of our community. But how many churches do you know right now that are closing or in their legacy period? My church that I'm the music director of, they're in their legacy period, and they're over 300 years old. It's churches used to be keystones of our communities, and now their cultural relevance is shifting. A lot of communities are shifting. So we need to adapt to these changes, externally speaking, for ourselves. And how do we do that? Well, classical music on our mobile phones and devices, it's okay, I guess. But we need to engage people to step outside of their mobile phones and their tablets. We need classical music to be relevant for them enough to actually walk out of their homes and come into our space and take in our art form. My solution would be to engage in a more quirky concepts and those that think unlike us and test out new ideas. Let's find out about our audience's real passions and interests and seek their real interests. I just tried Dungeons and Dragons, my husband and I, and it actually was one of the best nights that we've had out in a long time. And as a result of that, I figured out that there are lots of Dungeons and Dragons gamers all around, even in my own personal music studio. My students saw the Dungeons and Dragons handbook in my studio, and they started talking about their experience and their campaigns. There were students that I had not even thought of were remotely interested in Dungeons and Dragons. That was a welcome surprise. So, what if we did that? There's a lot to be discovered there. Let's invite the world around us to talk to us. Let's have authentic conversations about what people are doing. Let's see how we can intersect between where they are, why they come and enjoy us, and see what ideas percolate together so we can make something that's culturally relevant for everybody. You know, my husband, he used to be a senior user experience designer, and the first rule of study was finding out what people really do and think versus guessing at it and hoping you're right. Advancing the art form should be handled no differently. People are weird. People are quirky and wonderful, and because of that, there's lots to be explored there. Could we do a quirky concert of our own? Sure. Would it make us more culturally relevant? I cannot see how it could not make us culturally relevant. So let's make concerts and programs really passionate for us. Let's be excited about programs. Let's find the quirkiness. And since we're all human, let's find the vulnerability in being culturally relevant and connecting to our audience members, connecting to our community. Let's show a colorful side, a more vulnerable side, a quirky side, a fun side, because again, we have to make it relevant to our audience members to actually come out to see us. Let's engage in with their passions. What do they actually want? Let's not guess at what they want. Let's actually ask them, conversate with them, just reach out to them in a way. As you can probably see, I love to chat. I love face-to-face interactions. I can definitely tell you being quirky and having these one-on-one conversations is my forte. I can lead that way in a way that nobody else can, and it's authentic, it's real, and it shows a human element that isn't like the past 100, 200 years that is a little, could be a little stuffy. That's why a lot of people aren't coming to classical music concerts anymore. It's a little stuffy, and let's just show our human side. Let's actually connect with the people. I can do that better than anyone, and I can make sure that that leads to a more cultural relevance along the way on this journey. Question number 4, we're here. How have I collaborated in likely and unlikely ways? Well, the last concert that I did with my orchestra, Cherry Hill Chamber Orchestra, I collaborated with N Squared Dance Company, and I was programming works from ancient styles of music. And so I asked N Squared to dance. It was about a 5-movement piece, and I asked them to come up with their own dance. I didn't want it to be structured. I wanted them to lean into their art. I wanted them to lean into why they became dancers. And they did 5 movements of quirky things. Granted, I didn't see what was going on behind me, but I did hear lots of laughs. And I did know that every movement that they had a character piece with, it flowed into each other. So again, I didn't see what was going on, but the audience was laughing and had a great time. That's key. Making sure that audience have a great time and are laughing out loud during the music while I was conducting. Another concert that I had prior to that was an Art Nouveau concert. I took the audience on a journey of where Art Nouveau came from, which started in Japan, how it was in Japan, how it came over to France, how we know Art Nouveau in the French realm, and then how it depicted itself in Spain, which Fraggle Rock came in, and that gave the audience license to laugh at some things. I had a PowerPoint and everything, along with the musicians doing quirky things. Of course, we did like Satie and everything. So we went up to Spain, showed how Art Nouveau revealed itself up there. Then we came over to America and compared what Art Nouveau was like in America, like Tiffany lamps. And so I took the audience on this whole journey that is educational and funny. So that was really fun for me because I was, as an educator, I educated people and I did something that I was very interested in, and everybody had a good time. Interestingly enough, that concert was 2 hours long. I didn't intend it to be 2 hours long, but it was. And everybody at the end of the concert was like, that was the best 2-hour concert that they've ever had. They were entertained, they had a great time, and they were educated. And it didn't feel like 2 hours for me and the musicians themselves, but everybody had a wonderful time. So other things that I would like to do with Symphony New Hampshire, I'm interested in astronomy. We have Gustav Holst's The Planets, and there are other composers that have written about the planets and celestial bodies. Let's bring in local college professors that are in astronomy, or big people that are in astronomy, to talk about space and play these different musics from local composers if need be, and let's just do stuff like that. That will make it culturally relevant, and it's cross-industry. It's cross-industry as well, and we can definitely find things that are healthcare cross-industry, but we don't have to stay solely in our classical music lane. We can do cross-culturally, and if somebody on the board or in our administrative staff have a wonderful idea about cross-industry, let's brainstorm together and see what would that look like. Let's reach out to other people and just see, hey, this is what we want to do. Are you in? Let's try something new. If we don't take risks, then again, we are not moving any ball forward. If we completely stay in our lane, afraid to step out a little bit, then we're not advancing or moving our art form forward for our audience. And we need to make it relevant for everybody involved.